I've been an occultist for over 30 years now. I have considered myself to be a Luciferian, specifically a Gnostic Luciferian, for the last 25, over 25 years now. And tonight we're going to be doing an Ask Me Anything. This will be the fourth session that we've done of this uh, idea, the Ask Me Anything, and you can talk. We can talk about whatever you want. We can talk about anything related to the occult, anything related to Luciferianism, the left hand path, divination, alchemy, any of that sort of thing. We can talk about the Novus Ordo Luciferi, um, literally anything you want. Occult preppers here already. Welcome. Thanks for coming. And one of the things that I like to do when I start my live streams is start it off with a divination. And usually, what I do most of the time is I will do a bibliomancy using the I Ching. Now, I actually did a recent short video on this channel on how to do bibliomancy. And basically, you just ask a question or pick a topic you want insight into, grab any random book or a specific book if you'd like, and open it at any random page and then read a passage and then interpret that passage as a symbolic answer to your question or insight into the topic that you had picked. So usually what I'll do is I'll think about, okay, the upcoming live stream. Tell me, some information or insight into the live stream, and it'll often give a type of a theme or something that's going on in the life of the people that are watching, whether they're watching live or as an archive after the fact. So, um, one of my favorite books to use is the I Ching the Oracle by Benabel Wen, and I usually will go through the gray area, and that is the specific hexagrams, the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, and I'll just read the oracle portion of that, whatever one we land on. So let's see what we get tonight. All right, so tonight we got hexagram number 23, which is partition. And that's it right there. And it's made up of the Earth trigram with the mountain trigram above it. And we just have a yang line at the top, and then the rest are all yin lines. And the oracle states, "Stay low to the ground and disturb not that which is in turbulence. Forces at large are disintegrating and splintering. Dark undermines the light. The inferior outnumber the superior. Cons outweigh the pros. Move slowly. This is the combat crawl. Opposite limbs move together. Through acceptance and stillness and an unflappable faith in your greatness, your time will come." Ooh, wow, that's a little ominous, isn't it? Does that resonate with anyone here tonight? Casey says Luciferianism, narcissism seemed very similar in certain aspects. In what way? Because with Luciferianism in particular, we seek to embody the light bearer archetype. And what that means is the light bearer. The light, since time immemorial, has been a symbol of knowledge and awareness. And to be a light bearer or a bringer of light would be to share knowledge with others. And we see this in a lot of different mythologies. For example, we see this in the figure of Prometheus, where he shared the knowledge of how to control fire with humanity. And he did so at great personal risk. And he ended up paying the price for it because he upset the apple cart, right? He upset the natural order of things by giving humans knowledge that Zeus didn't want them to have. He wanted them to be ignorant and dependent and potentially even for them to die out. But giving them that knowledge of how to control fire empowered the people, and it undermined Zeus's power structure. And had a backlash against Prometheus. So there's an element of altruism there. And narcissists are not altruists. Narcissists only do things for themselves. They don't have a selfless bone in their body. So I'd have to disagree with you, Casey, on that. Um, Luciferians aren't narcissists. Luciferians want to share knowledge with others in order to make the world a more free place, to give others the ability to think for themselves, to make informed decisions about their life, rather than being trapped in the bonds of ignorance and controlled by power systems that take advantage of that ignorance. So I don't see the connection with narcissism and Luciferianism. Um, and you mentioned Gnosticism. Yeah, so Gnosticism is basically the same thing. You have the demiurge, and the demiurge's archons who want to control everything. They want to establish a power structure and maintain that power structure, and they do so through holding back knowledge, through twisting information, and um, exploiting ignorance. And that's how they maintain power. So when you share knowledge, when you obtain knowledge and you share it with others, like a light bearer would, then you are undermining that system of control that in that Gnostic paradigm. And so a Gnostic Luciferian is the farthest thing from a narcissist, I would say. They don't just care about themselves. There is that altruistic aspect. And as I said, there's an element of personal risk in sharing that knowledge because often whistleblowers experience some sort of backlash from the power structure that they are undermining when they share that knowledge. I mean, just look at Galilei, when he shared information about the universe, about our solar system that disagreed, scientific knowledge that he had discovered about how our solar system operates and Earth and the sun and the relationship. And went against the um, it went against the established doctrine of the Roman Catholic Church, who were in power at the time. And they forced him to recant. And he did so because he had to in order to save his skin, because he would have been put to death otherwise. But the knowledge was out there. The cat was out of the bag. The genie doesn't go back in the bottle. Um, you know, Pandora's box is open, already. And I do see Pandora as another example of the light bearer archetype. She um she was curious. She sought after knowledge. She sought after information. It was very similar to the Eve story in Genesis. Um And they utilize that story in order to demonize that curiosity, to in order to make it seem like a bad thing that you seek after knowledge, and that if you are denied knowledge, for you to actually go for it and go for try and get that knowledge anyway, then that's a bad thing, and that you're a bad person if you do that. That's what that story is trying to teach you, which as a Luciferian, you know, that's the exact opposite of what you're trying to do. So I see Pandora as a hero. She unleashed that knowledge. And a lot of times, you know what? The truth can be disturbing. The truth isn't always comforting. It can be very difficult and challenging, but with it comes empowerment. You know, with the knowledge, you gain potential. The You're able to unlock your full potential. There is that hope there, that promise, that potential that you can unlock. And yeah, do you want to live in a comforting lie, or do you want knowledge, even if it can be disturbing or challenging? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I see Pandora as another example of the light bearer archetype. Casey said that was an autocorrect typo. It was meant to be Gnostic, and somehow it ended up turning into narcissism. Okay, so yeah, Gnosticism and Gnosticism, or sorry, Luciferianism and Gnosticism is what you meant. I take it from what you say here in the chat, and yeah, I definitely see an overlap there. And I personally, I consider myself a Gnostic Luciferian. That's the terminology that I like to use because it helps define how I'm looking at Luciferianism. I'm not coming at it from the satanic side of things as much. Later on, I, when I first came to Luciferianism, I came to it through Freemasonry, Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and that sort of thing. Later on, I educated myself on Satanism and other left hand paths, but I come to Luciferianism from that side of things, from Illuminism, you could say. And that whole idea, that whole realm of things, I do see some overlap with Satanism and other left hand paths, but I do also feel that Luciferianism stands alone in a certain sense because of that altruistic aspect, that we do care about what happens to the world, that we want to see the world become a more empowered place, that individuals become more empowered through knowledge, through the truth, rather than being trapped in ignorance. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, absolutely, I see a connection between Luciferianism and Gnosticism. I think that they work perfectly together, and that's how I practice my Luciferianism, is in a Gnostic way. Adrian asks, is there a daily ritual practice that a Luciferian may perform, similar to the LBRP or even the middle pillar? Do you think that those two rituals are comparable? Um, the LBRP, which stands for the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, is a ritual that a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn would have learned when they became an initiate. And it was intended to be done on a daily basis for in the original Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, it was intended to be done for a full year every day before you would go on to anything else. Nowadays, if you are participating in a Golden Dawn inspired tradition, they don't make you go through that for a full year before learning anything else. There's so much out there, basically, um, that they're like, there's no point to do that for a full year before exploring other things. Um, but the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, or LBRP, it utilizes names of God and archangels. And these names of God include Yahweh and Adonai, which is a Hebrew word meaning Lord. And as a Luciferian, I, especially as a Gnostic Luciferian, I see those names referring to as references to the demiurge, and the demiurge is the embodiment of systems of control that hide knowledge, twist information, and exploit ignorance in order to maintain power. So I wouldn't be interested in utilizing those God names personally, because it doesn't feel right for me to call upon the demiurge as Lord, calling the demiurge my Lord or anything like that. Um, so personally, I don't do the LBRP. I have done it. I've done it hundreds of times, to be honest. But that was before I decided or realized that I was a Luciferian. And because, like I said, I came to this through Hermeticism and Gnosticism, and Freemasonry and that sort of thing. So when I first started, I was practicing Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn style ritual magic. That was one of the main things that I was practicing. And the LBRP is a central ritual in that tradition. And so I was using it all the time. And the middle pillar ritual is also very similar and related. There's an aspect of the LBRP called the Kabbalistic cross, where you activate certain um, spheres of the Kabbalistic tree of life within the energy body of the practitioner, of yourself, when you're practicing that ritual. And the middle pillar ritual also does that, although it's not all the same energy centers or spheres within the tree of life. Um, they're in the middle pillar, they're all ones down the central channel. And in the LBRP, you have three that are in the central channel, but you also have two on the sides. But yeah, I mean, they're very powerful rituals, but they work with, to me, in my opinion, the way that I see things, you're working with the demiurge, and you are um, calling upon names of the demiurge, including calling the demiurge Lord, right? Adonai. And that's not something that makes sense to me personally. Now, is there a daily ritual practice that a Luciferian may perform? Now, some people who consider themselves Luciferians do practice the LBRP and the middle pillar ritual because they don't have a problem with that. They don't see it in the same way as I do. But um, since you're talking to me, and I don't represent all of Luciferianism. When I'm sharing this information, I try and give as many different perspectives as I can, but ultimately, I'm sharing my perspective, especially. So, I wanted to try and make you aware that Luciferianism is non dogmatic. So, you're going to find a wide range of opinions on these questions. But for me personally, I do have a ritual that would substitute that. As you asked here in the more recent question, a better ritual that would not utilize, um, you referred to it as Abrahamic slave religion. And so I do have a ritual that I practice on a pretty much daily basis. Sorry about that lighting issue there. Um, there is a ritual that I practice pretty much every day, and it does take the place of something like the middle pillar ritual. And it is an energy work practice, just like the middle pillar ritual is, but it activates energy centers in the down the central column, and it also activates a circuit up the spine, which would be similar to the Kundalini channel, but also down the front, down a channel through the starting at the mouth, down through the digestive tract, and all the way down to the end. And it connects and it creates like a double Ouroboros. Actually, I have a representation of that on my shirt here. So you can see two snakes um, biting each other's tail. And that's essentially what I form when I do my energy work practice. And it's called stoking the black flame. This is an energy work practice that I developed, and it's heavily inspired by both Taoist internal alchemy practices as well as Western Hermetic alchemy. And I've kind of fused the two together along with utilizing words of power in Latin, which is the language that um, the word Lucifer is written in. And I also utilize incantations that I wrote personally myself in Enochian, Enochian. I prefer, a lot of people say Enochian, so you'll often hear me pronounce it that way. But personally, I think it should be Enochian, I think is the proper pronunciation of that because it's relating to Enoch. And um, this was supposed to be a language that was spoken by the angels, and in particular, the angels or watchers who rebelled against the demiurge in order to share forbidden knowledge with humans. And so I resonate with that interpretation of the Book of Enoch. And um, a lot of people consider the entities that shared that knowledge with John Dee and Edward Kelly back in the day to be fallen angels. They referred to themselves as angels because that's what Dee and Kelly were looking to connect with. But a lot of people over the years, including members of the Golden Dawn, Paul Foster Case, for example, he refused to use Enochian because he was afraid, because he felt that they were demonic entities rather than angelic. And what is a demon? It's just a rebellious angel, right? An angel that decided that they didn't want to follow the demiurge, that they wanted to take the side of humanity and share forbidden knowledge with humans, um, and that sort of thing. And also, I just really like the quality of the sound that the Enochian language makes when you speak it. It has a really interesting quality to it that I find very evocative. And the vibe, it has a very powerful vibe to it. So the stoking of the black flame is a is an energy work ritual that I developed, and I practice it pretty much every day. And if you want to learn it, you can join the Novus Ordo Luciferi, which is only $5 American per month to join, which I think is extremely reasonable. If you were to join any other esoteric order out there, they typically charge much larger initiation fees and regular dues. But I don't like to gatekeep knowledge behind excessive paywalls and that sort of thing. So if you want to participate in the Novus Ordo Luciferi, which in English means the new order of light bearers, and you and me as members are the light bearers. It's not about worshiping some external entity. It's about becoming a light bearer in your own right, in your own unique way as an individual, depending on your personal circumstances. And when you join, and like I said, it's only $5 American per month to participate, you get access to the stoking of the Black Flame ritual as one of many pieces of content that are exclusive to members. And that's basically if you want to take the next step and learn Luciferian alchemy, is what I call it, a system of occultism that I've developed over the course of my career, you could say, as a serious occultist. I've continued to explore and um, experiment and refine the different practices that I perform. And I've tried to build them up from Luciferian first principles rather than a lot of times people will just substitute out names from existing rituals like Golden Dawn rituals, like the LBRP. They'll change out the god names for names of the four princes of hell from the Satanic Bible, for example. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's it's something that it's better than using the names of the demiurge, that's for sure. But it ultimately is a ritual that was designed for right hand path purposes. Um, and you're utilizing that same formula, although you're changing a few little things. So, like I said, it's better than nothing. It's better than just using the LBRP unchanged. But I wasn't satisfied with doing that simple substitution. And so I've built up a set of practices from first principles as a Luciferian that makes sense to me as a Luciferian. And I have refined those practices over the course of, like I said, I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've been a serious occultist for over 30 years, and I've been a Luciferian for over 25 years. And even before that, I was a lucid dreamer since I was about like 6 years old or something. And I'm almost 48 now. So that's over 40 years of being a lucid dreamer as well. Lucid dreaming and astral projection is something that I've been doing since I was just a little kid. Um, so yeah, over that period of time, I have developed that system of occultism which I share to members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi. So if you want to take that next step, if you want to learn a system that is developed by a Luciferian for Luciferians, it's also useful for other people too, but it was specifically intended for Luciferians. And yeah, so if you're interested in that, like I said, I try to be a light bearer. I don't want to gatekeep knowledge behind, excessive paywalls, and that's why I want to try and make it accessible. But there does have to be some sort of energy exchange there. So that's why there is a fee. A lot of this information that I have is free though. Like this tonight is free. I have something like 250 videos on my YouTube channel, and that's all free. So I do put out a massive amount of free content, free knowledge for people who are looking for it. But for people who have decided they want to be on a dedicated path, they want to learn a specific system of occultism, then I recommend joining the Novus Ordo Luciferi, and it's only $5 a month. And you can join it. There is a pinned comment in the live chat that goes to the Patreon, and that's how most of the members pay their membership dues. And also in the description of this video, the Patreon link is there as well. And like I said, you could just join. Not only is there a bunch of written material, like the stoking of the black flame ritual script and information about that practice, but there are a lot of video courses as well. So um, every now and then I will teach a formal lesson to members, and they can attend live to those lessons, and those lessons are recorded. And then at the end of that lesson, that recording gets added to the back catalog of available courses. And we have over 40 hours worth of recorded lessons at this point. So even if you just wanted to go through the video courses, that's over 40 hours worth of material of formal teaching within the Luciferian alchemy system of occultism. There is actually a course, a video course of a walkthrough of that stoking of the black flame ritual, that energy work practice. So you can go through it and follow along with the video where I actually perform that video, or sorry, I perform that ritual, that energy work practice, and it's recorded and you can follow along with it. And there's also a written text, which is a ritual script for that practice. That is a companion. Actually, I came out with the ritual script first, and then at some point along the way, I did the practice live for members and recorded it. And now that recording is available to members when they join, along with, like I said, about 40 hours worth of material. And there's a course on lucid dreaming and astral projection, which is, I believe there's 8 hours worth of material on that. It starts out at the very beginning and it goes into extremely advanced material for that. Some of the most advanced material that you will ever encounter on astral projection and lucid dreaming, because that is my specialty. Like I said, I've been doing astral projection and lucid dreaming since I was a little kid. That was like over 40 years ago was my first lucid dream. And I that's like my main specialty, you could say. And I've encountered quite some advanced material and I've developed my own as well. So that 8 hour course is some of the most advanced material, but it starts off at very beginner level and it gets into really advanced stuff by the end of it. And there's also a supplementary course, a workshop on improving dream recall. I think that's an hour, and it gets into things like sleep hygiene, all sorts of things like um, supplements you can take, things to avoid in order to get better sleep, better um, dreams, more intense and vivid dreams, and help you remember your dreams in the first place. So that's a good like prerequisite course if you don't have good dream recall to begin with. And then take the course on lucid dreaming and astral projection, that sort of thing. Let me get to some comments here. Mike, welcome. I'm glad you managed to show up. Forbidden Walnut said, "What's good, magical people? Can you give me some tips for legit astral projection?" Yeah, well, I would suggest taking the course. It's only $5, but One of the things you can do for astral projection is if you can relax your body, get it into into a position where you can relax it deeply, and then visualize a space. It can be the room that you're in, it can be a place that you're very familiar with, or it can be like an astral temple that you have created through your imagination. And you're going to imagine yourself traversing that space. And you're going to imagine it from the first person perspective, not like imagine yourself walking through it like you're looking down on yourself. I want you to be able to turn your head and look around, look up and down, see what's there. I want you to touch things and feel the textures, the temperatures. I want you to be able to engage all of your senses, knock on something and listen to the sound it makes, and deeply visualize and imagine those sensations as intensely as you can, as if you're there and looking around in a body, as if you're embodied and you're looking around. Do that as intensely as you can and keep it up. When you get really good at it, at some point, you're going to click over. You're going to find yourself actually in that imagined body, in that visualized space, and you're going to lose complete awareness of your physical body. You're going to basically be in what you're going to be fully immersed in that space. And that's the astral. You've created an astral space for you to enter, and then from there you can travel elsewhere. But that is in essence um, a tip for legit astral projection, forbidden walnut. But if you want to get the full details, then I would join for $5 and take that course on lucid dreaming and astral projection. I think it might just be called lucid dreaming, but it includes astral projection in it as well. Um, Somebody said 48. I thought you were like 35. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I try and take care of myself. Actually, there's a document that I have put out called Longevity Foundations. And it was originally written for members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, but I felt that it was so valuable that I couldn't just keep it to members exclusive, that I let it out publicly. So that's a PDF file that you can get. If you go to my Patreon page, you can become a free follower of the Patreon as well, the Novus Ordo Luciferi Patreon. You don't even have to pay to become a free follower of it. And there are a lot of public posts. And one of those public posts is the Longevity Foundation's PDF download. And I think it's something like 14 pages, and it is a companion to the Luciferian alchemy practices. It's supposed to complement the Luciferian alchemy occult work with a way to establish a healthy lifestyle in order to increase the chances of longevity, of living a healthy and long, healthy life, um, and you know, maintaining your physical vessel for longer. And if you do the work of Luciferian alchemy, that should already be improving your um, longevity by through the alchemy that you're the inner alchemy that you're doing should give you more energy, which your body will utilize to heal itself. But also, if you can work at it from the other side as well through the physical means by establishing a healthy lifestyle through diet, exercise, all these things, good sleep, and it goes into how to establish a healthy lifestyle. And you can download that for free. You don't even have to become a member. And actually, if you become a free follower of the Patreon, you'll get email notifications when I'm going to do a public live stream like this. You don't even have to pay to get those emails. It's good to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell if you want to get those notifications of when I'm going to go live for something like this. But if you want to really make sure you don't miss it, go to the Patreon and the link in the description and become a free follower. And then you'll get emails notifying you when there will be a live stream like tonight. Um, and if you want to take your practice to the next level and become more dedicated into learning um, Luciferian alchemy, that system of occultism, then it's only $5 a month. Join the $5 per month tier or above. If you do any of the tiers above the $5 per month, then that gets you personal one-on-one time with me, which you can use for basically whatever you like. I can give you a reading, like a tarot reading, like I do tarot. This is Hermetic Tarot. I've got the Thoth deck, the Crowley Thoth deck. Those are my two most favorite existing decks out there. Plus, I've developed my own, which I'm um, working on manifesting. We could do I Ching as well. I could do an I Ching reading for you, or we can just chat about what's going on, and I can do my best to give you some guidance on where to go. We can troubleshoot if you're trying to establish a certain type of practice. So like lucid dreaming, or if you want to learn tarot for yourself and you're stuck on something, you're like, I'm trying to figure out this, like the court cards, and I'm just running up against a wall, then we can do a workshop one on one, you and I. And that's for the tiers above the $5 per month. But the $5 per month gets you all of the material of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, all the videos, all the written material, gets you access to the private community, which there's a Discord server for members. And also, there are regular meetings that are private meetings for members. When I wrap up this live stream tonight, there's actually going to be a private hangout for NOL members. So if you want to get in on that, join the Patreon at the $5 level or above, and it will unlock the most recent post, will unlock for you. And there's a meeting link in there. And I'm going to wrap up this Ask Me Anything live stream shortly. And when I do, I'm going to activate that meeting. And if you want to join it, go to the Patreon, subscribe to the $5 tier or above. In that most recent post, you'll have a meeting link. Go to that meeting link and you can join us. Um, and you can participate in some private conversation where we can chat about whatever we like. We can talk about um, the stoking of the black flame. We can. One of the things I was thinking of doing tonight, and we had done this before, is sometimes we'll watch a movie together and we'll just chat about it. So we had started one of the previous meetings we had done, the ninth gate, and we got to about like 45 minutes, and I was gonna um, watch the rest of the movie tonight. I think that's what we're gonna do. But it was just a kind of a fun one. But like I said before, sometimes these private meetings are formal lessons where me or another subject matter expert will teach a course to members and we'll record it. And that gets added to the back catalog. Like I said, there's over 40 hours of recorded material like that, and it keeps growing. So every time we do one of these private lessons for members, it gets added to the back catalog. So um, that's that's where all that came from, plus all the written material. So if you really want to take it to the next level, I would highly recommend joining the NOL. Belialism Legion gave a super chat. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. All that does, all of those financial contributions go towards supporting what I do, goes toward me being able to do this on a very regular basis. This is what I am dedicated to now. This is my main focus, my family and this. So that really helps me to do this. I don't do anything other than, support my family and support the community and try and be a light bearer in my own way and share this knowledge with people. And so, thank you so much, Belialism. It makes a big difference, it makes a big impact, uh, those financial contributions. Also, if you want to help out, you can also hit the like button on this video. That's a huge help and it doesn't cost anything. And I really appreciate anybody who does click that like button. If you're not already subscribed and you like the content, then subscribe, and then you'll be more likely to get notifications, especially if you hit that notification bell for when I'm going to do a live stream or I put out short videos. I did a recent interview where I interviewed an Enochian magic practitioner who also is working with non-human intelligences, contacting non-human intelligence through the dreaming state. His name is Daniel Rekshan, and he has a project called DSETI, or the Dream Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And it's a fascinating interview. We had a really great conversation. I think it was about 100 minutes, and that's just a public video on my channel. That was very recent, less than a week ago, I think. So I thought it was an amazing conversation, and I'm glad that I was able to share it with the public. And I really appreciate Daniel for coming on the channel to talk with me. And so, yeah, I do all kinds of things. I do live streams like this, I do short videos where I shared about how to do bibliomancy divinations and things like that. I do live streams. Not all of them are AMAs. Some of them, most of them, are on a specific topic where I'll go over that, and it's just public free. But if you want to take it to the next level, like I said, I highly recommend joining the NOL and getting dedicated teachings about Luciferian alchemy specifically. And Forbidden Walnut, if you join, I'm really looking forward to working with you. That'd be really cool. And anybody watching this, yeah, you get instant access. It's not gate kept in terms of degrees. Like I know a lot of esoteric orders out there, you get access to a certain amount of information and you have to kind of master that, and then you got to pay another initiation fee to get to the next degree, and then they give you another chunk of teachings and so on up the ladder. But with the Novus Ordo Luciferi, you get access to all of the inner work, all of the inner teachings when you join right away. And there is a sequential, logical progression that you can take through that material because there's a lot of material. So it's good to have like a logical progression through it, but you don't have to follow that. You can you can learn it and absorb it in your own way, in your own whatever order you want to approach it in. It's not gate kept between like in degrees like that. You get all of it when you join, and it's only $5. So um, I really wanted to make it accessible as a Luciferian. That integrity is a huge thing for me to maintain personal integrity. And as a Luciferian, I don't want to put things behind um, excessive paywalls. You know what I mean? And I don't want to gatekeep that knowledge behind layers of permission from some authority figure. You know what I mean? So it just doesn't feel right as a Luciferian to do that. That's the traditional way of doing it in an esoteric order, but it just doesn't sit right with me. You know what I mean? So that's how I've decided to structure it. And I hope you appreciate that. And I hope you understand why I'm doing it like that, because I want to maintain my personal integrity as a Luciferian and put my money where my mouth is, uh, to walk the walk, you know. So I do have to wrap this live stream up. I'm really happy that all of you showed up to participate. And thank you, Belialism, for the super chat. Forbidden Walnut was great meeting you and talking to you about these things. Um, and everybody else who participated. If you are watching this as an archive video after the fact, uh, feel free to leave a comment about your thoughts. And if you do have any other questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer them as a reply. But also, I'll take those into account when I am going to do another video coming up, and I might answer them in a video or in a subsequent live stream. So if you do have any questions for me or about Luciferianism, then leave them in the comments of this video. And for members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, I'll be starting the private meeting within minutes of ending this live stream. And again, thank you so much for everybody who showed up, everybody who supported with a like on the video, or a super chat, or joining the order. And until next time, everybody, stay lucid.